What up, everybody? This is Stuart Knight, author of the books Marginalizing White Supremacy, Poetic Visions, A Steep Mister for a Sister, and of course, A Spirit the World Has Forgotten. Available at Amazon.com, Lulu.com, Barnes and Nobles, and iBooks. And pick you up a copy if you like. It'll be a great thing for me and definitely for you. The information within those books, well, two of them are books of poetry, so if you want to learn how to love a woman and feel the spirit of what it means to fight, yeah, you can get the poetic books. They're all good. But Spirit the World Has Forgotten and Marginalizing White Supremacy give you very good, valuable information about what life is about, especially when it comes to fighting systematic white supremacy, and especially when it comes to how to connect yourself with spirituality. But today, I want to speak a little bit about generational battles, out here within the, black internet spaces, because, there's an inference or a reference, or I ain't gonna say reference, that's probably the wrong word. There's a proclamation going about, usually about, how is it said? You got to watch them old niggers, and it's based upon how should I put this? It usually comes from people in the younger generations, the current generation, Gen A, Gen Z, and millennials. And the feeling that, the generations that came before them, X and baby boomers, hasn't left them anything economically, hasn't left them anything economically, informationally, or if that's a word, or as far as information or true freedoms from the after effects of the civil rights movement, and in how integration itself was more of a harm to black people than it was a benefit. Now, they have a point to a degree, because a lot of the pain and suffering that the older generations that had to go through, due to having to deal with, to take on the brunt of outward or visceral white supremacy or Western ethnic supremacy, and with the the signs of no colored people here, and no colored people there, and having to walk light of toe and foot, and when they be in the presence of white folks, and having to cross the street. If a white person is walking down the street, you can't look a white person in the eye. You don't argue with no white people, and you for dang sure don't try to outperform no white people, or you would be lynched as a black person. When you have the baby boomer generation and the silent generation, if they were still alive, and Generation X to a degree, when those generations of black people, when they had to truly deal with blatant visual white supremacy, and to some had to actually show so much deference to it. And in today's times, a lot of people from those generations try to tell the younger generations that same old habit and belief of not actually challenging white supremacy or Western ethnic supremacy, of actually not challenging it, to the degree that many in the younger generations want to try and challenge it. And even to another sense, that not so much actually many of the younger generations are wanting to challenge, outward expressions of bigotry or racism, if you want to say, but actually give in to it. Because many in the younger generations, and same as with most in the elder generations, never learn how white supremacy functions. That's what the older generations need to know about some of the behaviors that the younger generations exhibit. And that's the one thing that the younger generations need to know about some of the behaviors that the older generations exhibit, is that neither one of you learned how white supremacy functions. Because you see, like even after integration, when Western ethnic supremacists actually put, ferocious, outright expressions of Western ethnic supremacy, they put those notions in the closet and just closed the door a little bit, but left it cracked open, and gave the younger generations, newer versions of how Western ethnic supremacy is practiced. Versions that deal more with rhetoric and language, especially the language of second wave feminism, especially the language of, you can be whoever you want to be, you can express yourself as you want to be, especially the language of, how do they say it now, kind of these younger generations? It's a meritocracy. You're not, it's up to you whether or not you achieve. It's up to you, whether or not you find success in this world. There's, and if you're not successful, then it's on you as to why you didn't gain that success, as if, some Western ethnic supremacists don't continuously still to this day build obstacles on an individual basis. And that's the one thing we don't really get. See, Western ethnic supremacy is practiced institutionally in a conglomerate fashion. But many of us don't understand these days that it's also practiced on an individual fashion, meaning that, the average everyday white person who works at, the clerk's office, can, just heighten some every bill you got to pay, which causes more money to come out your person simply because they think as a black person you ask for welfare too much. Those kind of actions still happen today. How the police officer, kind of gaslights you in a traffic stop so they can add charges on you. You got to take money out your pocket. How simply because of your style of dress and, where your hair is worn, some of these Western ethnic supremacists can just deny you employment because they feel like it, or they want to keep that opportunity open for somebody who's more deserving, that looks more like them, because true enough, you might come to work and work harder than anybody on the planet, but you can't move up that chain. You haven't shown enough merit. Whereas somebody can come in the door, don't know what the heck they're doing, but simply because they have the same phenotype or they look just like the person that hired them, oh, they got all the merit, we're going to advance them on up the chain. I don't know how many times I've seen this, but neither generation has learned how white supremacy functions. A lot of people in the elder generation had no idea, that a lot, of a lot of what was practiced by the Western ethnic supremacists during that time was not only physical force and violence, but also psychological violence, which led to many of black, men and women, taking on drugs and alcohol to be able to cope with the strains and stresses that society put upon you. And those behaviors are still seen today, in the drug and alcohol and party all the time culture amongst a lot of black people today, in order to cope with the pressures that the Western ethnic supremacist system puts upon you. A lot of the elder generation, they felt that the young folks won't listen, they weren't keen on passing down a lot of the knowledge that needed to be passed down of how Western ethnic supremacists operated, or they felt that, if they passed down that information, it might do more harm than it would good. Or if, a lot of, elder generations, and even still a lot of the younger generations too in this time, they feel that if they, go along to get along, for lack of better words, with being dominated by Western ethnic supremacists, whether in social, economic, or intellectual, even in the intellectual fashion. If they go ahead and concede to being dominated, that they would, have an easier route in life, not knowing that, no, you won't have an easier route in life, because, many of people of that, ilk, they gain some sense of ego-driven power from being able to subjugate you as a people. So you don't win that way either. But one thing culturally that we used to do as a people, we revered our elderly. And the elderly revered the youth, because the elderly understood that the youth was a continuation of them, so that their spirit, and their essence could live on far into the future and long after they're gone. And the youth understood that it was the elderly, that passed them down to the wisdom that would keep them out of some of the pitfalls that they had suffered, so that the life would be a much smoother path. And not only that, they would they would be able to take the wisdom that was passed down to them and pass that on to their future progeny. So as time goes along, the people themselves will become greater. And that's the manner that's the manner of thinking we got to get back to as a people, to where the older generations uplift the younger, and the younger generations uplift the elder. Instead of this talk about, watch these old niggas ain't this, and, or all these little young whippersnappers, they think they know everything. And all these, these little youngsters, they ain't doing nothing but destroying nothing. Instead of all that kind of talk, let's have the talk amongst ourselves that uplifts each and every generation henceforth, that came before or that goes after. Let's work to lift up the generations, so that way we can grow as a people and become better, and be the best manifestations of what God wanted us to be. That should be the idea, even though it isn't now. But hopefully we can get to a point to where we can work on that and make that so. Once again, this is Stuart Knight, author of the books Marginalizing White Supremacy, Poetic Visions, A Steep Mister for a Sister, and of course, A Spirit the World Has Forgotten, available at Amazon.com, Lulu.com, Barnes & Noble, and iBooks. Peace.